Welcome back, everybody, to your new favorite show, Making Comic Creators High, Making Comic Creators Cry. And today we have none other than than the great Charlie McElvy. I don't even know how to introduce this man. He goes under many monikers. He's beloved in the indie community, that's for sure. With Spider Squirrel, but also Charlie, you were on American Ninja Warrior. You were an inspiration to many. Including me, to still try. Maybe there's hope for me yet to get on that show.
I'll train you.
But yeah, how would you introduce yourself, Charlie, to somebody who's never met you on the streets? And you just walk by and they're like, "What do you say?"
For me,
yeah, you're like, "Hi,
I'm just another guy. I don't think anything of it. It's hi. It's funny. It's an awkward question. I've never really thought about it. I just hi, I'm Charlie, and hopefully I get a smile out of somebody. So that's really all I care about.
My go-to move whenever I meet anybody. I just smile and wave at them. Honestly, yeah. I just smile and wave, and sometimes they walk right past me. Sometimes they'll stop and talk. It's.
You should probably quit doing that with random people on the street.
Oh, never. It's my favorite thing to do. But we have Neff with us, saying, "What's up, nerd?" I don't think anybody's ever called Adam Watson a nerd. You know what I'm saying?
That's not true. I call myself one all the time.
Nice.
So today we're gonna talk to Charlie about Spider Squirrel. Before we get started, we'll just talk a little bit about introduce Kayla and Adam, because it's been a little while since we've had an introduction. All right, so Adam, so Charlie, just so you know, you have to be worried about this man right here. His name's Adam Watson. All right, he's a hard man to please. He's a veteran in this. He's a veteran in the comics industry in a manner of speaking. He's a distributor, publisher, but he also has sold about I think we average it out to 300,000 comic books on eBay.
I just sold 15,000 more. So.
Well, there we go. The number keeps climbing every week. Every time we check in with Adam, the number just keeps climbing.
And he's drinking scotch out of a plastic bottle too. So that's
wrong color for scotch, maybe bourbon.
Bourbon, yeah.
So Adam has seen it all. He has seen all of the comics. He probably knows about it.
I've seen all the comics.
He's seen all of them. And we have an inside joke where I don't read comics. Isn't that right, Adam? Adam will say things that I've never even heard of and I didn't even know existed.
Yep, it makes me want to punch you right in the liver.
So that's where Adam's coming from. It's coming from a good place of experience, and of course, and Kayla here is the soften the blow, basically. You know what I'm saying? She's here to soften the blow.
Is that my role? I've been trying to figure that out for a couple shows now. How did I end up here?
She is also a fantastic artist. I think she's quickly rising in the ranks of the indie comics community. Would you say that is true, Kayla?
I don't know if I would go that far, but I have had a successful career. I would say that.
There we go. And was first and foremost a portrait artist, isn't that right? You're right.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
So we're trying to she's trying to do a lot, and then of course I first heard of Charlie a few months ago through I think it was one of your early I think it was Spider Squirrel 2, and then of course 3 came out. Then we reached out and we had some fun together. You came actually on the show. I don't know if Kayla was there that day. She might have been, might have not been.
No, I don't think so. I think this is the first time we met.
Yeah. Oh, Charlie, you were with Ruben Romero. That was Kayla's friend. Yeah. But yeah, that was still a fun time. And then I read Spider Squirrel number 3, and I'm like, I gotta get more of this. And one of the things, that before we get started, I will say that I might be biased, Charlie, because your writing style is very similar to mine, where it's like very crazy. I was trying to tell Adam this. It's very like jumps around a lot. It really throws you off, captures your attention, keeps always guessing what's gonna happen next. And that's the way I like writing it. And of course, I'm sure you can easily see
Oh,
that if you
no.
read Elixir or Lost Magic. But yeah.
Or a message from him on Facebook.
This is true. This is true. so it's so I have so I'll have some things to say, but that's where my biases will come from, I'm sure. But yeah, I think before we got started, Adam wanted to give you the floor, Charlie, to tell us about the idea of the formation of Spider Squirrel. Almost a pitch, but almost like what your idea was when creating it and what you wanted to do with it.
Yeah. So hopefully my hotel Wi-Fi holds true here. But yeah, so Spider Squirrel actually was, he's me. So in pretty much every way, shape, and form, except for he actually has real powers and he's not married. But yeah, so it actually came about because some of the story is I was training and filming a montage, a video interview for American Ninja Warrior. And these two kids, both of them were named Alex, funny enough. And they were supposed to be training and doing their own thing. And they stopped and they were yelling, they were looking at me and watching me. And one of them they're arguing. And one of them goes, well, look at him. No, he's got these long arms and legs. And look, he's climbing. He's all creepy. And it's like a spider, And the other kid goes, no, look, he's bouncing and jumping. And he's like a squirrel. I mean, look, he's just not as annoying, which is not true. And twice as annoying as any squirrel. And so they kept going. I thought it was just gonna be like one of those one and done arguments. And they're like, dude, no, I'm telling you, it's a squirrel. No, dude, it's a spider. No, blah, blah. I was like, guys, stop. I'll just be the spider squirrel. And I was like, oh, hey, that's dumb enough to work. And so I actually went home that night, designed the logo. I had it printed on my training pants. I had it printed on a shirt. And I started wearing it to competitions, and it just became a persona. And then I don't remember how the rest of it came about, but ultimately I said, you know what, I should make this a comic book. It would just be really fun to do a quasi autobiographical comic where I take real events from my life and I just superheroize them, and make some kind of crazy ass story about it. And so I worked with Ray Anthony Height, a Midnight Tiger, and he's worked in Marvel and DC and a few other places. And Ray and we collaborated on the costume design. I said, hey, draw me with like one extra set of abs, and then put this really cool costume on. And we went through iterations. I had all of them, and then what was missing was we couldn't figure out like the icon, and so I just kept putzing around with that. And yeah, there's your
the extra set. I think this is just right. You know what I'm saying, Charlie?
Oh,
just
so
right
let me veer off for a second. That picture, there's a funny story about that. So I actually wrote the original script. There's dialogue on that page, but when I got the page, I was like, oh no, there's going to be no dialogue in this page. So I moved the dialogue to the next panel, and I rewrote it a little bit, and it became a running joke of I need to come up with a slogan. So that's not much of a spoiler, but the very next panel, he's like,
the catchphrase.
I need to come up with a catchphrase, and that actually reoccurs in issue 3 too, where he's like, I really need to come up with a catchphrase. So that'll probably go through a few more issues before I actually either come up with one or stop saying that. But yeah, so we did that, and then I said, I've got the story. And so just started writing it out. But what I knew I wanted to do was integrate the indie comics community into the whole thing. So I said, okay, I need a MacGuffin. I need some kind of some kind of way to make all this work. And I was like, oh, duh, I'll just have him get tossed to the multiverse randomly. And so he gets tossed to the indie comics multiverse, and the rest is in issue 1 and part of issue 2. So yeah, so that's kind of the short version of it.
Adam was wondering, what were you wondering yesterday? You had a few questions for our man Charlie before you can really dig into him. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but I'm taking in what he said.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we go ahead and start looking at it, and then we can kind of start talking about that. Unless Kayla has anything to add first.
Kind of changes some of my questions too. Actually, I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how I want to formulate the questions. You know what I mean?
Well, Kayla, do you have any reactions to the man known as the phenomenon known as Charlie McElvy? That we've just heard of and met for the first time. Any reactions so far, or are you just so flabbergasted by this? Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm waiting. Look at the art, and then I talk.
Oh man, Charlie, you gotta, Charlie. We'll be seeing each other next month, I believe, in Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a hoot when I introduce people to you, and you'll be like, "What's
It's gonna
happening?"
be fun.
People get that reaction. Give me that reaction all the time. It's like we're just having fun. We're just having fun. We got the scintillating spider squirrel. All right, got the scintillating spider. This is the main cover of issue 1, right?
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool.
So I'm going to pause there. This is issue number 1, but it reads like you should already know this character.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is this character introduced somewhere else that would give some sort of backstory? Because as far as an introduction, it doesn't really work that well.
No, it's not. Yeah. So I intentionally said I wasn't going to go out there and do an origin story yet. So
no, I'm not even talking about an origin story.
Oh, just like straight up. No. It's just, we're going to just jump right into the action.
Okay.
Yep.
That's funny.
So obviously,
go
ahead, Kayla.
Oh, go ahead. Can I don't know if I can hear you guys.
Oh yeah, Kayla, go. I thought, do you have something to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I had the same reaction as Adam. Like when I first saw this, I was like, am I supposed to like know who this is? Because it does have like kind of a golden age comics like look to it too. So I was like,
more Silver Age than old.
Famous, and I'm like not connecting the dots. Am I about to show what a like comic idiot I am? Good. I'm glad that the same reaction too.
Adam, are you saying just off the cover?
No.
He meant the whole thing.
The whole thing. I'm saying because it's issue number 1, but I personally couldn't tell if this was a preview issue. If like maybe the Trash Panda character had already appeared before, maybe he appeared in his universe and this is like a branch off of that, something that would give some sort of context for who this character is first. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the other thing is obviously there's going to be some parallels here between Spider Squirrel and another spider character, right?
Probably a couple of them. Yeah.
So was this meant as an homage to Spider-Man at all? Because now hearing that he's based off you, it's kind of more confusing, really and truly, because this seems more like an attempt at bringing back the good old days of Spider-Man than making something completely new.
No, that actually is a fair analysis, because one of the things that I wanted to do is bring. I wanted to showcase what I kind of grew up with and just jump into. Well, I did want to jump into the action right off the bat. And I also wanted to kind of bring back that feel of let's just go have fun with a book. Now, Spider-Man or Nightwing, maybe even a little Daredevil before I get too broody. It's just a number of things. Definitely a lot of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle from the JLI, J.M. DeMatteis and Kevin McGuire runs, or the Bart Sears run. That was definitely a big piece of it. So there's kind of a wrapper. It's not a singular homage at all. It's definitely a combined, kind of a synergized homage to several things. So really, that's what I was trying to bring back. So just that feel, which it worked. You got it. So
yeah, it worked a little bit too well at times, though. Because so many of the poses being so spot on Spider-Man. Like bring up page number 2, Armand.
Oh, this was Adam's favorite, and this was
yeah. So this page in particular, I mean, this looks like it could be lifted straight out of any number 1 or any number of Spider-Man books, right?
That's funny because if you read, that's more what I see and what we wrote and actually intended to do was really it was a direct homage to what Scott McDaniel was doing with the Shadows. Way before really saw this a lot in Spider-Man, but from the Nightwing run with Chuck Dixon. So that was something that was, to me, I was, this is amazing. And so that was definitely intentional to, not Spider-Man, but Nightwing.
Okay.
No, but everybody's going to see something a little different.
Yeah.
This also, you catch some scenes here. DC, who did this art, I only asked for a couple of shadows and he did like a dozen and a half, I don't know, but it's interesting because he actually took some photographs from hi doggies from my Facebook of me doing parkour, and so some of those are actually modeled after me doing parkour moves and stuff, which I thought was really awesome of him to be that thorough. So it's kind of cool. That's just something that nobody would know until I tell you, but there you go.
Isn't that the coolest thing you ever heard, Kayla? By a comic creator? You know what I'm saying? Charlie's too cool to be a comic creator. But one of the things I counted 17, and to learn that it was modeled after parkour, it just keeps getting better. On the note of, what Adam said, that some of these characters, if you should know them, I was curious because I know who Trash Panda is, but I was confused because the way I read it, like he turned into Trash Panda and didn't even show that he turned into. Was that true? Or
yeah, this is a shadow transformation. So it's just if you look at the panel, I think it's page 12, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You see the bad guys cornered, and you just see this triple shadow,
Mm-hmm.
and you go, oh, he changed. And the costume's the same, which we wanted to do to make sure you can tell, oh, that's the same dude.
Okay. Well, were you guys able to? Was Adam and Kayla? Did you guys know this was the same dude right here?
Yeah, I knew that. I thought that was pretty obvious. But I thought that the Trash Panda character, he appears in some other books. Then.
Thinking of Kung Fu Panda, Adam. That's a different genre entirely. Different medium.
I like Kung Fu Panda.
And me too. And now there's Battle Panda, which we did a crossover with those guys last time. No, he prior to this, he hadn't appeared anywhere other than probably some preliminary art or designs and stuff that I posted on social.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the bigger issues getting into this, is it felt like there was some sort of pre-existing mythology that I wasn't aware of. And I don't think as a first issue that it does a very good job of pulling you into the world, because it feels like it's already too formed in your head, but you're not letting the reader in on enough of that formation. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And I've had just the opposite response. So I think when I went into it, I expected that because I knew why and how I wanted to jump into it. And I said, you know what? You're going to know from the start, and you nailed it. You're going to know from the start that there's more to it than just what you see here. So something has been going on up to this point, which we'll get to retroactively later. And there's even some stuff in issue 2 and 3, which isn't as obvious, but when you read Milestone, you'll start going, oh, wait, we didn't see that happen. And no, we didn't. So we'll do a little bit of that. There's going to be some, we're going to keep going. There's going to be some interesting, again, some retroactive, a little bit of not really time play, but just time in terms of the reader being introduced to what happened in certain issues or certain moments. So, yep. It was a double-edged sword. I knew that going into it. So I knew some people were going to read it a little more like, what the hell? And others were going to go, dude, this is so cool. And I've gotten definitely both.
Yeah. What was some of the decision-making process behind deciding to structure your first issue that way? Because I'm party of as I was reading through it, it was like, this is like I have stepped into adult ADHD comic nostalgia world, and I was really excited about it. But that's because I am who I am, and I was like, oh, this has got the pace that I find really exciting. But I kept having to stop and be like, okay, what's going on? Okay, where am I at? Okay, what am I missing? Is there some type of context? And then I was thinking, well, maybe it's kind of like Star Wars, and I just have to wait for it.
Yeah, wait for it. No.
Why you decided to structure your first issue in this way that sort of just thrust your audience into this kind of ready-made multiverse world that is drawing on so many other comic influences that it's kind of it was tough for me to figure out where
it was disjointed is basically a complaint that could be made, All
right. Yeah, no, so I definitely wanted the frenetic feel is intentional. The being disjointed, not so much, but I expected that to be some of the I did expect that to be some of the concern going in. In fact, I talked to a couple of the guys over at Scout, we were talking, and for them, they like the book, but the one concern they had was the same thing you guys are bringing up, is little too much inside baseball, or just it felt like they didn't. It wasn't the fact that we just jumped in; it was the fact that it felt like too much was formed
Yeah.
for them, and that we should know who all these other characters are and so forth like that. And so I definitely get the criticism on that, but yeah, no, I wanted to come in and just jump right into the middle of the story. So you think about it, like, and I was thinking back to when I was putting it together. I was thinking back to when I started reading some of the X-Men books, and I go in and I'm like, who the hell are all these characters? This is crazy, right? So and like Kayla, you come in, you go, I feel like I should know what's going on, but I'm just gonna keep going because it's fun. It's fun, but I'll catch up eventually, and maybe I gotta go buy a
difference with that though.
I'm just gonna run with it.
There's a big difference with what you're talking about and your comic though. With the X-Men, I came in late on that too. As a kid, I think the first one I ever bought was like $2.89, right? And it's like, who the hell are these characters? I don't know who any of these are, right? There's 288 other issues on Uncanny X-Men to buy.
Yes, absolutely.
That can explain that for you. There's X-Force, there's New Mutants, there's all this stuff, right? With this, if this is just this one thing, then it comes across pretty disjointed for an introduction, which would be what my biggest complaint is. The artwork is nice, even though I wouldn't say there's really that great of a flow from artist to artist, but the artwork is nice. It doesn't necessarily complement each other throughout the whole book. Maybe you can scroll through a couple of those, Armand.
Yeah.
And then the whole fact that like on some of the, I did really like that little fighting game style. By the way.
That was my favorite.
But when you go to some of these pages, it'll say like, I think it's at the bottom of this one. Scroll to the bottom of this one. Right there. We're talking about to see these characters' adventures next. Go here. Da 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 da. That's what made me think, oh, what I'm reading is actually a preview book. This isn't the first issue. So I get the whole concept is supposed to be like a Spider-Verse or a cross-time caper or something like that. Nocturnals probably did this whole concept the best that I've ever seen, where characters are going into another world and they have certain characteristics that they use, like Stan Sakai's artwork, Dan Brennerton. You couldn't get more different with the artists, right? But they all used just black and orange color palettes to blend the artwork together in a more cohesive fashion. I do think this could have used something like that would have made the artwork like not offset each other so badly. But as far as like a lot of the other things go, the dialogue's pretty good. The lettering is really good. The artwork, all the artists are good. It's just that I don't necessarily think they all blend well together.
Yeah. No, that's fair, actually. And it's funny you say that because one thing that I did kick myself in the pants for is I allowed each of the creators who wrote the interstitial stories to use their own art teams. Two pieces that I wanted, if I gone back and fixed anything, I would go back and had the same colorist and letterer throughout the book. Because I think that's where, for me, if I go back objectively and look at my own book and try to, not that anybody can really do that, but I mean, if I try to, that's the one thing I look at and go, dang, I wish I would have thought of that one piece, because that's the one piece to me that brings everything together. The story, obviously, but outside of the obvious, if you're going to have different artists, to me, to your exact point, the colorist and most assuredly the letterer needed to be the same person throughout, because that to me really ties the book together. Because I think the one thing, and in the Hypergirl one you just had up there, that's a different letterer. The lettering style is even different, which really breaks up the reading flow more than anything else. So yeah, no, it's absolutely, I'm 100% with you on that one, Adam.
I kind of disagree. To be totally
okay.
As the only artist here, which is weird. I see what you're saying about having some type of like color palette connect everything together, and I can imagine how that would make it a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more pull the visual narrative together. But I think that having such a sudden and sharp contrast between the styles of these artists and the way that we just sort of, it's like having your head jerked to the side and it really resonated to me, that feeling of like being pulled through into another section of the multiverse. So I sort of felt visually it was adding to this sense of frantic energy of being like thrust from one dimension to the other. So I don't know, I kind of like it. I kind of feel like it's a cool experimental way of handling sort of the visual aspect of that narrative, and challenges this idea of like using a linear palette to connect things together, which is sort of part of what you were trying to do. I think that if you were going to go the route of connecting everything with a cohesive palette, with the same colorist, the same letterer, you would have to reflect that in the rest of the story too. Like the story would have to change to sort of fall in line with that aesthetic. I think this sort of like suits what you've done. But that's like,
no, that's
yeah.
I totally. I mean, I get it, and I won't say. I mean, that's absolutely. So one of the things I did when I assembled the book is I obviously had all the interstitials. They all came in at different times, but when I assembled it, the first thing I had to do was take these similar art styles, and this is kind of to your point, Kayla, the more similar art styles, and make sure that they were separated with a much more distinct art style, so that you still got that feel that, oh, I just changed places. And so it was obvious that I went from the main story to some other wherever the heck, and then now I'm also here, and then I'm back to the main story. Oh, and now I'm here again. So that part was definitely intentional, because I did want, knowing they're going to have different creative teams, I did want the interstitials to be obviously a different location every single time you visited it. So visually, that was on purpose. I still think, and again, this is just for me, I still think that there could have been a lot more, and maybe even if I didn't have the same colorist, had maybe like a Ross Hughes, who was one of my main colorists, had Ross come through and stabilize some of the differential, either increase as necessary to really pull off, like in the more cartoony style, to take away maybe some of the airbrushing and get more of the cell type shading, and then maybe do some. So, I guess the case could be made either way.
Interesting. Before I want to ask Kayla and Adam if they, how they felt reading it, and if they would have continued reading after the first few pages. To me personally, when I was reading these first few pages, and especially after that first, and you turn quickly, actually, like I don't know what page it was on. They started jumping through the multiverse or whatever, and I was like
11, yeah.
11, yeah. And I was like, all right, I want to see how crazy Charlie's gonna get. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm down for it. I want to see how crazy he can get in this comic book. And we went there. You went to all these different dimensions and new characters, new heroes, new villains. In the midst of the Squirrel thing. So yeah, and again, it was. Well, I will say that somebody called my elixir like a machine gun fire of a comic book. Very staccato, you know what I'm saying? So this is definitely more.
Did you take that as a compliment or an insult?
I know.
Bit of both.
I still soundbited him and put him on all my, reviews.
Sure you did.
But it's one of those things where I definitely saw that this had you definitely thought it out, had more of a flow. And there was a reason for it happening. Whereas, a lot of times when I do it, there really is no reason. So I kind of appreciated that. But I definitely, to my point, to my question, I would have kept reading, because I was like, all right, how crazy can Charlie get? Like I was interested to see where it was going to go. Adam, would you have kept reading after those first pages?
So, one of the things you keep saying, Armand, that I keep hearing again and again and again is Charlie this, Charlie this, Charlie this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes me wonder if you had any objectivity when you read this whatsoever. Because you're like, so, enamored with him,
Well, that's an interesting
I
point.
don't
But I
think
will
you
say,
have any objectivity on this one at all. And we should have brought Sam or someone else in for this one. But
because just the writing style, and I didn't know the writing. To be fair, I didn't read anything about Charlie until I got this book like a few days ago. I didn't know how similar his writing style was to mine. So then it was kind of a surprise, a pleasant surprise, I would say. So to that.
So what he's saying, he loves him more than me, but I'm just the object of the. So I get it. No.
It's like looking in a mirror. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah. So Adam, keep going. What you were saying though.
let's let Kayla go first on this one.
Oh, okay. I feel like I think I might get in trouble for this, but if I'm 110% honest, I couldn't make it through all the dialogue. I couldn't. Yeah. I tried. I read through the whole thing probably 4 times, and I just I was so distracted by what was going on in the panels and the artwork, which is not the worst problem to have, because I was able to follow so much of what was happening through the artwork itself that my brain just could not retain what was happening in those text boxes. But maybe that's an artist thing. I don't know. I'm an artist before I'm a comic reader, and as I would get to about page 12, 13, and I would just be and I'm just looking at the art now, and I'm just looking at the art now. I stopped reading. I don't know what's going on, but I really like what I'm inferring from this.
A little bit.
And I got the story. I got the story, but it was a lot of text for me. And it was a lot of dialogue that was just as jumpy and frantic as what's actually going on, that it's kind of slipped through my fingers. I would buy another issue of this just because I had such a good ride, it was kind of okay, I had to go to sort of this mad carnival and get on this crazy ass ride
and vomit and still get back on. And I unfortunately I can't take all the credit either. I did actually let other people write, and this is no, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. But I think the one thing that I could have done better for sure is managed expectations when it came to dialogue. I think some individuals for sure saw what I was doing with the banter between the two main characters and took that as, oh, let's banter everything, and that's not really the intention of the book. The real banter should happen between Trash Panda and Spider Squirrel more than anybody else. But yeah, it definitely got verbose for sure at certain points, myself included.
Yeah. You can disagree. That's allowed on this show.
Oh, hey, I will disagree when I feel like I need to, but I mean, honest criticism doesn't hurt me at all. So
yeah. And you can never get in trouble on this show. You know what I'm saying? I will protect you from Adam. You know what I'm saying? I will protect you.
Armand likes to think that he can. Right? Just kick him into a wall. So
treat him like a Pez dispenser.
Are you asking me if I would continue to read what was given to me in the PDF if I weren't doing this show, or are you asking if I would pick up the next issue?
Both, but mainly it was the first or the latter. Would you have continued reading a PDF or even a copy if you picked it up on the racks? Yeah.
So there were characters that kept being introduced who I was interested in, far more than I was interested in Spider Squirrel. I found him to probably be the least interesting character, both aesthetically and dialogue-wise. I just wasn't into him. I honestly thought, I didn't think Booster Gold at all, but now that you've said that makes total sense. I thought he was Spider-Man with the Human Torch's personality. That's what I thought. So I think the character, though, he looks cool, interesting, or he could be interesting. I honestly don't think he's interesting in this issue, but I think he could be really interesting. So I might pick up more, but I think I'd be more interested in like the Trash Panda character or some of the characters that were crossed over into than I would the actual Spider Squirrel character. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, and that's actually why. Oh, go ahead.
That being said, like, there are those books that you see at comic shops and places like that, and you're like, why are new issues of this even being made, right? I mean, I know I shouldn't say that out loud because I'm a distributor, but you know, but everybody sees that one book, right? If I saw this, I might stop and thumb through it, see if it's got to the level yet of what I think it could be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do like your dialogue. I think that your jokes are completely flat and not funny at all right now. I didn't even chuckle one time, if I'm to be completely honest. But the dialogue is solid. Your characters, 2 characters, you know, all that was really good. I like the bickering. That seemed like 2 people who are actually old friends. So I liked all those elements. So it would be something that I would keep looking into. It's definitely something that I could see, like if you ever want to do distribution, I'd put it on racks. I think it would do well. Would I personally read every single issue? What I'd probably do is glance through the first couple of pages and possibly read it if it started interesting me in a major way. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
But I think it was a mistake to do the crossover stuff this early on.
That's
fair. You know, if you were going to do that thing like, you know, the Spider-Verse or whatever, you know, that it's going through, then Cross Time Caper might be a better, you know, example.
Yeah, that's a little better because it's not the same universe. But yeah. In fact, I don't own any of those other characters actually. So
yeah. So if you're gonna do something like that, I feel like maybe I don't know, a Halloween one shot, a big 12th issue anniversary issue. You know, like Gen 13 did that thing with Gen 13 number 13. You know, had Wolverine and Phone Bone and She and all kinds of characters.
Which was I bought it just for that. Yeah.
Right. So doing something like that a bit later on, when I already have a reason to care about Spider Squirrel, might have helped with the connection to the character a little bit better.
No, that's great feedback. Yeah, and your earlier point about being interested in the other characters, that was part of my goal for having those little boxes at the bottom, because I wanted to promote the other characters. I wanted to promote the other creators and their books. In fact, Steel Wolf, looking through, he's on Kickstarter right now with crossover with Stray, which is over at Action Lab. And so this is one of his first major releases, I think. And so anyway, I wanted to give those people the ability to shine a little bit. Some of it also a little self-serving and was trying to generate a market awareness where they were promoting because their characters were in and they created these things, co-created these moments. And so, you know, helped to incite a little excitement around the book or the project, you know, until the book was actually released. So yeah, no, that's good feedback, definitely.
Oh, very cool. So one of the things I will say, which probably affected my take on it, is that I actually read number 3 first, and for some reason, I actually thought that read a lot better and was a lot better of an introduction. I don't know if that's wild.
Oh, me. That's probably because I wasn't distracted by trying to frame, you know, one, get you introduced into the world and let you see that it's already here and happening, and these guys are already buddies and all this other nonsense. And then trying to get into the interstitials, the indieverse hopping or whatever, swirling about, and also trying to keep the book under 3,000 pages. So yeah.
So maybe there's something to be said about, you know, an origin story is always hard to tell. Issue 1s are always tough, and that's why when I read number 3, I at first, to be fair, I you know, everything Kayla was saying is, oh man, there's so much dialogue, all these new characters. It was a little overwhelming, and then I had to put it down. And you know, I read like the first 5 pages, I put it down, and then I came back to it later, and then I thoroughly enjoyed it when I gave it like a real shot. Again, my mind was, how crazy is Charlie going to get? And I know in the third one, you're just trying to build a universe, a shared universe of your own IPs and characters, where you're like, oh, see, they're gonna have their own future issues, and I thought that was really cool because, one of the things that Adam astutely brought up the other day was, is this a parody, or is anything that you're doing in this book or series?
That was prior to actually reading it, though. When he had just sent me the PDF. Obviously, I knew it wasn't parody actually after I had read it.
Right. But now even to some extent, in this third one, there is like a Doctor Doom character. There's the Teen Titans, Teen Force 5, or so, I forgot what you call them. But I was curious, like, where do you see, are you just taking inspiration from them, or are you trying to do a new take, a classic take? Like, what are you trying to do with these characters that people know and like?
Well, thanks for the spoiler on the Doom character thing. That was just a little dang, man. No, that was just pure visual comedy. Just throwing the character in there because I was talking to the artist and I said, I had him fighting some random bad guy. You could parody somebody if you want to, and because he had done it earlier with Venom and. I can't remember who else. There's also a giraffe guy in there somewhere. Those are all just they were just, hey, draw whatever you want, I like to do that because artists are co-creators and collaborators, so I wanted to let DC have the freedom to do that. With that character, he was like, hey, we should do a Dr. Doom character. I said, oh, hey, I got an idea for that. Why don't you go ahead, because I want to have this little mini dialogue between Milestone and Spider Squirrel. It's kind of awkward, and we'll just make this a little break moment, and because I also want to introduce this what might be a new power for Spider Squirrel in a very kind of a cute, silly way, and so that's where the Doctor Doom character came from. As far as the other characters, like Team Force 5, they're I guess more of an homage to the classic Teen Titan, or any. Really, even X-Men to some extent. They are getting their own miniseries. The first issue is being colored right now. So the first issue is drawn and scripted and ready to go. Just got to get that color back. And then some of the other characters, like Milestone, he's on, we've got him on Zoop right now. So that book is coming, and he's got his own miniseries written by Vito Del Santi. And so we're Do you just like love superheroes, and is that why you keep like telling stories? Yeah. I think I really do, and I think that there's also more to be told in a superhero story than just superheroes, and so that's the other side of it. Is Spider Squirrel is always going to be that kind of a ubiquitous character that'll pop up somehow in the background, a billboard, some comment, whatever, a flashback sequence in all of my books, but that book will never be the serious book. It's meant to be kind of that break from let's just do corny ass superhero stuff. And whereas Milestone's going to be a little bit more introspective, a lot more human than superhuman. So the superhumanity part just is a context more than anything else, a carrier for a story. So there's a lot of variability there. And then the Teen Force 5, you're going to be a little bit more of that coming of age, trying to figure yourself out. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. You'll trip, stumble, fall along the way. Hopefully you'll grow, but not necessarily. So that's I guess a coming of age kind of a book. So again, superheroes are just a wrapper. The stories are all various tropes.
I got 2 more questions for you before we let you go here, Charlie. All right, so in this issue 3, you have. I see, you have Comics Wellspring ad, but you have 2 Comic Wellsprings ad.
Yeah.
What's happening here? Explain to me.
So
paying you double the ad space.
Well, they did give me 15% off for that. But actually, so what happened there is when that issue, because that's issue 3, when that issue, we added 6 pages to that, which kind of jacked up the page count. So it was on purpose. So it was partially planned, but I also had another ad that was going to go in there, and the individual did not get it to me in time. And I'd already popped all my ads, and I was like, well, I'm not going to throw mine back out there. So Comics Wellspring was like, hey, if you want a blank page? I was like, no, just give yourself an ad. It's fine. And so it's okay. We'll give you another discount. And so that was pretty cool.
They give you another discant? Oh man!
And did I say that out loud?
we talked about it before. My favorite person is Pam.
Pam, she's good people.
She's great. She saved me many times.
Yeah.
But if you ever need an ad, I've got tons of them ready to go for my book.
I'll hit you up next time. I'm all about community, man. So I'll hit you up.
Whenever you're like, I don't have an ad, you know who to go to, Charlie. You know what I'm saying? I'll always give you something.
Yep.
My second question is, after this is, you have a current one on Zoop. I do want to tell people you have a current one on Zoop called Milestone. And but then now I'm going to double back and hit hard hitting question here.
Pull it up, Armand.
Oh, of course. Did you switched off? You switched off Kickstarter for Zoom.
Thanks, Adam.
You're welcome.
And,
yeah.
And now I'm personally wondering, do you have any regrets? You know what I'm saying? Like in the movie We're the Millers. But because I'm wondering if I know how fast Spider Squirrel funds and like how big it funds for the first 3 ones. This one is clearly a lot slower. And I'm curious, do you is any part of that do you attribute to you jumping ship?
Yeah, a little bit, sure. One, it's a character that doesn't have quite the build up that Spider Squirrel did. So social media wise, I've talked about Spider Squirrel, shown visuals and stuff for the last 2 years. So before the first issue even hit last year, so there was a better groundswell for that one. Milestone didn't do that as much. So let me answer your first question. Well, I'll keep answering in this order. So I do attribute some of it to Zoop is a smaller platform for sure. So I'm not going to get the organic, natural, hey, there's 10 million people or whatever the heck number Kickstarter has just accidentally coming across the book. I have had a small handful of individuals, 3 actually, who said, "Oh, I don't want to sign up for another account." And I go, "Really? It's literally just put your email address in and come up with a stupid password." So, but I get it. I mean, people are kind of they're already getting burned out a lot on crowdfunding, and there's also some individuals that take advantage of crowdfunding and run multiple campaigns, and maybe they fulfill, maybe they don't. Well, I mean simultaneously. I don't mean
no. I know. I'm just joking.
No, I think we know. Yeah, there's a few of them out there, Charlie.
There are, and then you get individuals who don't fulfill, and so people are getting a little crowdfunded burned out, I think. Now that being said, there's still some Pat Shands just went over 100K. Charlie Stickney's go 25 to 40, 50K on the reg. So some individuals are definitely having the bigger success for it because of the platform and because it is crowdfunded and stuff like that. And they're also phenomenal people too. But no, to answer your question about regret, I have no regret. Now on Milestone, I may just drop the stretch goals and take the overall goal down, because obviously when I factor in, I have a whole spreadsheet. When I factor in the cost that I am putting the book up for, I am factoring in, I'm expecting to hit the stretch goals. And so I've got to factor those costs in. And anybody who doesn't do that, by the way, is absolutely foolish. You're hurting yourself, right? So you've got to make sure you plan for these things. So we may adjust the goal a little bit. I'll just take the stretch goals away and just make them either add-ons to be available for purchase, or just get rid of them for later. Or maybe I just surprise somebody, and if we go over enough, I go ahead and if the budget fits it, I'll do it. But no, I don't have any regrets, because I'm a big believer in innovation, and I'm a believer in disruption. And indie comics is all about disrupting the market. Indie comics is all about innovation. My book may not be innovative. That doesn't mean that it's not part of an innovative platform. And so for me, I want to give Zoop, and I want to give everyone watching this show an opportunity to try something different, because what Zoop is doing is what I think Kickstarter could and should be doing. And so I can get on I can definitely stand on a pulpit and preach an lectern on this one, because there's some issues that I love Kickstarter, and the people behind the scene, Oriana and I forget the new girl's name. So these people are phenomenal people. They're great customer service. The platform is mature. It's got a mature audience. It's got all the things you would want. But there's some features that really lag behind. A great one, add-ons. How many times have you guys gone and first off, you're sitting there, you get this like reward tier anxiety, like which one do I pick? Okay, I'll go with digital. Oh no, I don't know. I'll go with this digital. Oh shit. Okay, I'll go to the physical reward. I'll do that, and then you go and you get to the add-on section, and you go, oh, wait, it actually works out better for me if I go back, cancel that, do this, do these add-ons. Okay, wait, let me write all that down, right? And I've done that, and if anybody's as neurotic and psychotic as me, right? But I think most people have done something along those lines, or they introduce something later in the day. They go, oh, hey, we're 2 weeks in, and we're going to add a new add-on. And you're like, well, damn, now I got to go in, and I'm going to cancel my pledge, re-pledge, and then go grab that add-on. And it's like, that's a multi-step pain in the tush. Whereas Zoop, it's a shopping experience. You literally just go and you pick not one reward, but you can pick as many rewards as you want, stack your own, make your own bundle. And then once you pick at least one, you can go down and the add-ons are visual. They're right there on the screen. You can plan your whole plan of approach and attack right there on screen. And yeah, it's just all right there. There's your add-ons. There's, tip jar if you guys want to throw me a buck. Thank you, by the way, for the 14 people who did do that. And so, yeah, and at the top here is those are all your what would be tiers. Those are actual rewards. You can click any number of those, and some people have picked like that cover, this cover, and that cover. So they made their own cover bundle. And that's all you need to do is email and password. And then it adds to your shopping cart, and then you just check out. Now, if I add something later, say I go, like I recently added that $30 milestone signed one for me and Vito and myself. So that one we added later after the fact. Anybody who already backed the book can just go add that to the cart and just check out. So, and they don't charge you until it's successfully funded. So if it doesn't succeed, you don't get charged. So it still follows the Kickstarter.
Like, Charlie, you're gonna stick to Zoop for your future releases.
I think maybe not all of them, but listen, I've talked to Jordan and Eric over there quite a bit. Great guys, and like the Kickstarter folks, they're very responsive and they're very helpful. Jordan reaches out to me personally and says, "Hey, have you thought about adding like something like this or something like that?" Really just encouraging. So they want the platform to succeed. Obviously, they're in the business of having it succeed. I want it to succeed, if for only the fact that it's very comics centric. Everything they do is comics or comics adjacent, and they're trying to do something that Kickstarter and Crowdfunder and a few others aren't doing. And I think Crowdfunder's doing stuff that these guys aren't doing. And some people like IGG. I'm not a big fan of IGG's UI, so I have a hard time with their interface. But all of them are introducing something different. So I think being open to new platform, that's the nature of indie. So
yeah, definitely keeping on the cutting edge. Yeah, I think I spoke to Jordan via online. It was somewhere online. He just could not convince me. He did not provide a convincing enough argument, which I was honestly surprised. He couldn't convince me, and I was like, oh, I'm thinking of doing this, and he just was not able to catch me. But what I will say is that I was curious to see your journey, your response, and I'm curious to see how your journey continues more than anything. But these pages look great. Like these pages, of course, you get Trash Panda, everybody's favorite.
See, they showed up in a flashback.
Yeah. So we got all the fun stuff going on here. If anybody wants to kind of chime in, support Milestone. Yeah. Live right now.
If you're a backer of any of my other Kickstarters, I'm gonna try to get it out tonight. But I'm gonna give a lettered preview of some of the pages, so you guys can, not just the ones you just saw, but those which didn't have letters, but some additional pages too. You can kind of see where it's going. This book's really fun, and it does a great job of you're really inside of Milestone's head. And there's some really cool, like Grant Morrison style cosmic crazy ish that's about to happen in issue 2. That's just like, when I read it, I was like, how are you going to draw this? Like, how's the, and then I saw the page and I was like, oh, that's really freaking cool. So how's that for a teaser?
That's great. That's my favorite thing. Kayla knows this. I'm like, I say the craziest thing, and I'm like, how are you gonna draw this? I don't know, but I trust you to do it.
That's my job.
That's where Kayla takes over.
I just love that I get to sit back and be a fan this time. So I created the character, but I'm not writing the story, and some of it's coming, and I'm seeing it for the first time, and I'm going, oh, I want to read more of this. So I'm enjoying that one. It's fun.
Yep. I think I asked you that question when I first saw it. I was like, what does a Charlie McElvy joint mean? And then you had to explain it in detail. And I'm still trying to wrap my head, but it's all cool. Adam, any last parting words that you have for
Or
us?
shots.
Or shots? That's right.
No, I think I said all the shots that I needed, or I took all the shots I need to take. But one thing I do want you to say that I want guests to always say from now on, by the way, that you need to ask Armand. Where can people find this issue if they want to pick it up?
Where can people find this issue if they want to pick it up? I think, hopefully,
you asking me?
No, I was looking in the mirror. Yeah, you were in my mirror, I thought, right? So I thought you were going to answer for me. See, thank you, Kayla. See, I buzzed the tower, Goose. What happened here, man? Jesus, you hit the canopy on the way out, didn't you?
Adam was, preparing another Adam yelling session at me, and then I was like, oh boy, what did I do this time?
That's okay, Armand. I'll take over the show. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you can get all 3 issues of Spider Squirrel if you haven't read any of them. You can see what these guys are talking about, and the freneticism and the psychosis and the idiocy, the dialogue or the lack thereof, and the gorgeous art for sure. You can get it on. Actually, you can get it on the Zoop campaign for milestone number 1 right now. So you can get milestone number 1 in PDF format. If you go physical, you will get the PDF also. That's just standard for me, and for most people, I think. And you can add on the Spider Squirrel, either issue 1 or issue 2 or issue 3, or just grab the whole bundle of all 3, save a few bucks getting the bundle, and you can get the whole shebang. Milestone, if you care, does appear for the first time in issue 2 of Spider Squirrel in the last panel, in a shadowed panel. So it's this shadowed cameo, and he has a full appearance in Adventure in issue 3. So
Well,
for you completists out there.
You also forgot Gateway Comics.
Yeah, thank you. My local comic shop does buy. Do you have the print for the cover right there?
This one or
no? The ice cream one.
No, I don't believe so. I think
that's okay.
Is it back here somewhere? One of these.
It is. It's real small on there. Yeah, right there. So that's a local ice cream joint. It's actually been in some movies, 50 or so movies. That's shown up in the background or been a scene. But yeah, so my local comic shop does buy exclusive covers. That's a Chris Campana cover. And looking to do some more with Chris here soon on the Spider Squirrel annual number 1, which is in process. Actually, we've already got pages done. So. That should be coming out. But yeah, you can also get it at Gateway Comics in Fredericksburg, Virginia, or gatewaycomicsandtoys.com.
You reminded me one more question. Those were Moby's cups at the beginning, right?
Oh, the ones in the dorm room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that nod. That was a good one.
That wasn't even my idea. I saw that. I was like. And then DC, I was like, oh, dude, nice. Yeah. So there's a lot of little stuff that I'm finding in my own book because, again, I let my artist be an artist.
Me and Kayla
and a true collaborator.
It just go right over our heads, right, Kayla? I don't know what those are. But, very
she
cool.
knows more of that kind of stuff than you do, Armand. Don't kid yourself.
He's got shots for everybody, baby.
That's right. He's got shots for everybody all the time. Thanks so much for coming on, Charlie. Hope you don't cry too hard. We know Danny Gordon, our last guest, took it a little too to heart. He didn't take it very well, but you were better.
Really? And, oh no, I love criticism. I mean, I'm not perfect, so I just want to get better. Shit. So whatever you got to say, email me. You guys got my email.
That is right. And Charlie responds everywhere. Sometimes on Twitter, sometimes on Facebook. I just whatever.
That's probably like, because you just randomly message on anywhere.
That's pretty much it. I get emails and DMs and tweets from Armin, and I was like, "What, dude? What? Wait, I answered that 3 times already. Did you not watch my TikTok video?"
To me on Messenger and Instagram and Twitter while I'm on the phone with him. I'm talking to him on the phone, and there's all these dings coming in. Who is that? Oh, the person I'm talking to, who's not telling me anything about these messages. He's just randomly sending.
Oh, that's awesome. But hey, you're thorough. That's what you got to say, Armand. That's your defense, right? I'm just trying to be thorough and make sure I cover all the bases and cover them again.
Absolutely. We'll be back next time another Making Comics Creator Cry. This time I think we'll have one of my favorite female comic creators on, Jill Petticat. She's the only one I think. Oh, Charlie knows her. maybe Charlie met her on my show. No, I don't know. But she was there. She was there one time. But yeah, I can't wait for that. But yeah, please support Charlie McElvy. He's a huge supporter of the indie comic community. I just want, how many Kickstarters have you backed to date, Charlie?
Over 500, so I don't know now. You just go to my profile because I have no damn clue. I'm scared to look.
No, I was about to say, because I you know how I even another thing that another reason that I know you support so much is because not only do you just like back it, you tweet it out, you shout it out that, oh, I supported this guy, this book, and I see a couple times a day you're doing this. I don't know how often, but it's always every time I look. So so you're definitely beloved in the indie comic community, and and it's great. It's great to see. So
I might put books out faster if I stop buying other people's books. I don't know.
Definitely a possibility. 525 books backed. That is true. That is a lot. That is a lot. Keep going, Charlie. Keep going, and we'll keep supporting. And Adam will keep, shooting it down. You know what I'm saying? All in good fun, though. All in good fun. It's target practice for him. You know what I'm saying? It's just target.
Love it.
Have a good night. We always like to end off with one word. Kayla, what's the ending word?
Subscribe.